What has been more daunting in your career? Auditioning for Lorne Michaels or being in the same room as Ted Danson, dancing in his handsome ways? What's more daunting?
um, I would definitely say both are equal in many ways. Both are shockingly disarming. Um, Lauren was more terrifying. Ted Danson is more just like, damn, he's doing great. Look at well, actually, Lauren looks pretty fantastic too. Come to think of it,
What's so terrifying about Lorne?
I don't know if terrifying's the right word. It's more. God, I don't know. Terrifying is not the right word. You just want it's like dad. You just want him to like you. He's done so many amazing things for comedy, and you want to have that respect in return.
I mean, is it true that when you I mean, I wouldn't know this because I've obviously never auditioned for SNL. You have. Is it true when you audition that you're in this room, they don't laugh, and you basically just got to do what you do and hope that it sticks?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's completely
What?
true. Yeah. I think. But at the same time, I think not that they didn't laugh. They laughed, but it is definitely you in a room, and it's up to you to get that job. you know. Uh, I was lucky enough to hear some laughs. I remember that. I'm sure everyone does, but it's not the easiest room in the world. No, I don't think it is.
Who was in that room that day? It was Lauren and was it Tina?
Lauren, I remember Tina was there. I remember hearing Seth laugh. And I'm sure it was like now after working there for 9 years, like I'm sure there was like all the crew guys, like I'm sure some of the writers popped in and I just didn't know. And like people were watching on TVs over many floors and I had no idea. But yeah, I'm glad I had no idea how many people were watching that day.
But like Kristen Wiig in an interview recently talked about how it's just this very it's not only do you feel like you're going to throw up during the process because it's extremely nerve-wracking, but when you find out there's like this whole just matter of factness. Okay, you're coming to the show, and then like in a matter of a week you have to figure out how to move to New York. I mean, is that a safe thing to say, or was that just her experience?
That was, I think everyone has definitely their own journey there. But I was already living in New York, but at the same time, yes, it was, one day you're a lifelong SNL fan who's dreaming of it, and the next day Lorne calls you at 1 o'clock in the afternoon thinking you weren't going to hear from him for months, and he calls you up and just goes, "Well, I think you're gonna, I think America's gonna love you in January, or whatever it was, and we'll see you soon." And then all of a sudden, 10 years later, you're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I was on SNL for a while, and it was insane and wonderful, and I'm glad I came out on the other end okay."
Well, I mean, but then like, what was that moment? I can't think of the best way to
I
describe it, but that oh bleep moment, we'll call it the oh. What was your oh bleep moment when you first got there? Was it seeing someone from a past cast, or was it just seeing the stage?
Um, the day of the audition, the whole thing was pretty surreal. Seeing the stage. I mean, the day I found out, I remember like Lauren called me, and I remember I said I didn't know what to say, and I said, "Thanks, you made my day." And it came out of my mouth very quickly that I said, "You made my day." And he paused and he was like, "Well, let's hope it lasts longer than that." Okay, well, and it was just very like to him, it was very flippant. Like I feel like he's just like, "Yep, I did a nice thing and gave a boy a career for the rest of his life," and and for me, it was absolutely life changing, and nothing has been the same ever since
So
that moment. I
is it
ran across the street. I ran across the street in my t-shirt and boxer shorts. My mom worked across the street at the town hall, and I sat on a bench outside and I waited for her to come out, and we cried like children.
is it true everybody in the cast has a version of a Lorne Michaels impression?
Yes, and a lot of people have good ones. I don't. I have a lot of impressions of other people's impressions. I think Fred's is my favorite. Fred Armisen's might be my favorite.
Well, what is it about his impression that like makes it stick for you?
It's a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different Lorne in different situations, different types of Lorns. It's not just relegated to just Lorne.
Well, I remember hearing Bill Hader's, and Bill Hader's does it
Oh,
with a serial killer twist or something.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think Bill and Fred are neck and neck. Yeah, definitely.
Now, in terms of just your vocal range, and I promise we're going to get to Mr. Mayor, because talking to you is like a treat to me. As I was talking to your
Well,
team,
thanks. Yeah.
that's that's hidden in the background, which is kind of eerie to me. But that's my own psychosis. But we'll avoid talking about that. I'll let my
I
psychiatrist help with
appreciate
that.
that. Thank you.
But your vocal range. Let's talk about your vocal range. The thing that I noticed listening to all your voice work as I was preparing for this, when you do a character, and then you're doing this like Louis. Okay, let's take Louis for example, and then you take your character in Bad Batch, and hell, while we're talking about it, Drunk Uncle. I mean, not one character that you do is even remotely sounding the same. It's like an incredible, like there's no, like you would think I could hear a tinge of Bobby Moynihan. Like when I'm talking to you right now, I'm trying to think, can I hear a little bit? It's you have such a talent for just kind of taking your voice and just twisting it and using it for that character. It's amazing stuff. I mean, were you like that as a kid? Were you able to do voices? I mean, is it something you've worked on?
No. No, I think I got very lucky of being a fan of things and being on a television show that was very popular as far as the voiceover world works. But now that I'm in it and I have been doing more and more voiceover, uh, I try to make it sound different because you tend to get typecast as things, and I tend to play lots of endearing children or dogs or crabs. But yeah, no, there are people in this business like D. Bradley Baker, and also like on SNL, like Jay Farrow and Cecily, and these guys that just like they hear an impression and they can just do it or mimic it perfectly. I don't think I have that. Like I remember for Bad Batch in particular, like thinking on the way there, like I've been in 7 Star Wars cartoons. I can't sound vaguely blue collar again. I gotta do something. I gotta do something new, and also it's fun now. I take it a lot more seriously, and I think the more you do it, the better you get at it. So thank you for saying that because I have a complex about not sounding the same because I take that voiceover stuff into I take it very seriously.
Well, my wife walks by as I'm preparing, and I'm listening to clips of you as Louis, and I'm listening to clips of you from the Bad Batch, and I'm staring at it, trying to listen for a similarity, and it's just not there. And then that's my son, by the way, in the background. I apologize. Yeah, now, well, he's now over here now, and it's just remarkable stuff. And yeah, I mean, you really should be commended, for what you're doing in the voiceover world. Now, Mr. Mayor, how did we get to Mr. Mayor? Did they come to
Exactly.
you, or did you come to
Yeah,
them?
I got a phone call from Tina, kind of saying we wrote this thing and I wrote this part for you and I'd love for you to do it. And I went, well, that's the second craziest phone call I've ever gotten in my life. Um, so I did it, and I'm really happy I did because working with Holly and Ted and Vela and Mike and Kyla, everyone's wonderful. It's a dream cast of really nice, talented, wonderful people, with the added bonus of having that Carlock and Tina Fey team of writers behind it. Scardino and them, they're the best.
I mean, between this show and Girls Five Ever, they're kind of on a they're kind of on
I
a roll.
I've watched Girls Five Ever twice. I love it. It's so good. I'm such a fan of their style of comedy, and Girls Five Ever made me excited that I was on Mr. Mayor and really excited to go back to work because I feel
You're
very lucky that I get to say that stuff.
now in terms of your character. Is a lot of your dialogues off the page, or are you improvising at times? Because you're so natural in the role that I kind of wonder, is it that comedic timing, that comedic chops you're using there, or is it just written that well?
Thanks. No, I think it's written that well. This is the I did a lot of Upright Citizens Brigade for a long time, a lot of improv, and I enjoyed it for a very long time, and I still do. Um, and I tend to improvise a lot, maybe too much. And at Mr. Mayor, it's really nice to get to the end of a take where we've done the lines, and they're like, "Do you want another one? Maybe improvise something." I'm like, I mean, it's kind of great, or something will just come out naturally, and they will use they always use the best stuff. I've never been disappointed by them as far as like I remember like bits that have been cut, and I'm like, yeah, no, I mean, like they cut that for time, but they're so good. I feel in very good hands over there. I don't feel as if I have to improvise as much, but
Now,
I do get some in every once in a while.
now, in terms of the show, I kind of think your character is the voice of reason at times, and
Which is shocking.
it. I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, which is shocking.
I mean, yeah, I mean, but it's that it points you're adding levity to a scene. So, I mean, do you agree with that assessment, or how do you see your character in terms of that Mr. Mayor dynamic?
Um, it's interesting. It's like I feel like he's a little bit the heart of the show. He's the one that reminds everybody, like, hey, I know everything. I know we're all a bunch of idiots and we do dumb things, but like we're trying, right, guys? And I feel like maybe that, like, I don't know, the I guess it would be the glue that holds things together, but it's not necessarily the glue. It's the accidental glue.
Now, in terms of going into season 2, they talk to you about where your character might be going, or
to space. No, I'm just kidding.
I was waiting. Like I did not see that coming. You see my face? You got me there, man.
The reaction was perfect. No, I don't know where it's going in season 2. It's funny. I know because we didn't technically finish season 1. I know what like the first couple episodes are, but I don't know after that because we finished on episode 9, but we had 13 episodes written. So I know how like season 1 ends, but I don't know where season 2 is going. But I just talked to Tina yesterday, and I trust her completely, and can't wait. I almost don't want to know.
Why?
Because I want to read the scripts and enjoy it. It's fun for me too.
So there are some instances as an actor where you can kind of you can kind of be a fan of someone's work if they're that good, like a Tina Fey. I mean, geez, go ahead.
Yeah, I think at SNL, like I learned like that instant gratification problem. Like I learned like, okay, I did this thing and now it's done and here it is, and it's all done in that week, and then we start over again. But with this job, maybe I've changed a little bit. I'm very much like I don't know. I'm a fan of Mr. Mayor, and I get to be in it, so I can't wait to see what they make me do next because it's fun.
It's working with Ted in a scene. We have quite a few of those. Is he a good to work with in a scene? I mean, or is it a good give and take? Or I've never had a chance to work with him in a scene. Just part of it.
Yeah, it's the best. He's the kindest. You also realize instantly that you are in the presence of somebody who has been on a television show for great television shows for many years, and that is abundantly clear. I remember being in the middle of a scene with Ted Danson and Beau Bridges and just literally just like giggling, just like, what's happening right now? This is ridiculous and wonderful. But the same thing happens with Holly Hunter. I had a full day in a tiny car with Holly Hunter right before the pandemic started, and we got to spend hours and hours talking about acting and getting to know each other, and like the whole episode was about us being locked in a car together and being nervous, and it was wonderful. And now I love Holly Hunter, and I hope she loves me. But it's been a blessing.
In looking at the show, I would have to say the show's not the same without you, because like you said, you are the heart of the show. I mean, you provide that morality that even in the midst of chaos, in the midst of these crazy situations we find ourselves in, you are there to remind everybody that, hey, we're here for the common good. And I think you bring that to the table. I mean, and that's through your performance and through what you put forth in terms of these episodes. So I think you are to be commended, which is why when I was offered the chance to talk to you, I was like, yeah, of course I want to talk to Bobby Moynihan, the heart of Mr. Mayor, no doubt about it.
Thanks. That's absolutely wonderful to hear. I'm really happy because I love doing it.
Yeah, this could be the type of show that sticks around for quite a while. I mean, it's got some legs to it. I'm sure you wouldn't be sad if that were true.
No, no, I was at SNL for 9 years. If you told me I was going to do this for if Mr. Mayor was going to go 8 terms, I would be fine with it.